So you want to come hiking with me, do you? Some of the areas I go to, yeah, they're beautiful, but they're not always easy to get to. I don't hike your standard, typical hiking trails, so I do some pretty serious bushwhacking to get into these areas that I go into, and this area here is pretty cool. I've gained probably 2,500 feet of elevation in just a few hours now, so I got about another 1,000 feet to go to hit the top. So 3,000 feet in elevation in 3.5 hours. Steep, and it's kind of nasty. I'll show you where I came from. That's where I came from, down through that crap there. And on that far ridge is where I parked. Well, not on that ridge, on the bottom side of that ridge is where I parked, so better get at it. So this here, you guys, this is a bed, an animal bed. Where am I looking here? Come on, Mr. Camera, right here. It's an animal bed. You can see the deer tracks in there. I would say that's probably an elk bed, but deer have laid in it as well. They do that, eh? They paw the ground apart, and they'll make a nice bed for themselves. Whew. There's a lot of elk up in this range here that I'm in now. We're getting there. We're getting there. It's a nice day if a guy was on a boat fishing, maybe having a cold beer, or sitting on a beach, maybe having a margarita. It's beautiful blue sky, but honestly for me it's way too warm. Way too warm. I left this morning at I left at about 4:30, and it wasn't too bad at 4:30, but it was warm enough. And now it's really warm. I wore my super light rain jacket or super light hunting jacket when I left, and within an hour, not even an hour of walking, I peeled it off. Well, good morning, guys. Welcome back to Outlaw Country. Hope you're all having a good day. It's a beautiful day out today, but I left pretty early again to avoid the heat. I left at around 4:30, 4:45, and it was okay for the first hour and a half to get up to where I'm at now. But as you can see, it's blue sky, sunshine, and it's pretty warm out, which is less than ideal for me for hiking. I'm not a fan of the heat, as you all know, but I got no choice. I got to stay in shape. I got to get out for my hikes. So I'm going regardless. And you know what? I can afford to lose a few pounds, so it's good to sweat it out a little bit. So this morning when I left, I was at probably like 600, 800 feet above sea level, and where I parked. And right now I'm at 3,200 feet. So I put on some pretty good elevation in about 3 hours. So. And I've got another 800 feet to go. So I'll be right around 4,000 feet in elevation Doesn't help with the temperature or anything, but there's a bit of a breeze, which is nice, so it keeps the bugs away. So, and yeah, I'm just doing a little bit of scouting. There's some monster blacktails up in this sort of alpine-y stuff, these rock bluffs, and I'll give you guys a bit of a panoramic view here of what I see. It's pretty beautiful. It's tough to get in here, and I would say 80% of the hunters around here, maybe even 80% of the hunters in general, are fairly lazy and don't want to hike too much or walk too far. And of course, that's what I love to do. So I've never seen another soul in here ever. Never seen another hunter in here in, I don't know, I've been coming in here for 10 years now to this spot, and I've never seen another soul. So it's nice and remote. Big deer. There's some big elk in here. And I'm just going to put on some miles, keep the legs moving, and try to stay in shape and see what we can see. So I'm going to maybe go for another half an hour or so, and then I'm going to take a break, find somewhere in the shade with a bit of a breeze, take a break, get a couple emails read out for you guys, and fill you in on what's happening in my world. Okay, let's rock and roll, guys. I'll give you a little bit of a view here of these, this is alpine for me, right? Pretty much as high as you can go. I got one more run down this valley up to the top of that mountain, and that's as high as I can go. But yeah, up in these rock bluffs, this is just prime deer country and elk country. The trees are a lot smaller. There's lots of arbutus here in the rock. You can see these red trees are arbutus. And there's some small firs, some small cedar. It's pretty tough getting in here. It's pretty rugged, but it's worth it. All right, I made her to the top. This is what I came up through. This is the last draw that I came through. It's not a bad hike coming up through here. So, where am I looking? Right there. So I came up through there, up into here, and I'm at the top. And we got some shade here, so I'll find a place to set up and get a few emails read for you fine people. It's been about a week. It's been about a week since I've seen you all. And the reason for that is I took a pretty bad fall. I took a pretty bad fall about a week ago. About 7 days ago. Just right around the time my last video came out. Took a pretty good fall. And as you guys all know, I've got a bad back, bad knees, bad hip, bad shoulder, and I took a pretty good fall. And I felt it, and I had to lay low for about a week. So that's where I've been. That's what I've been doing. Resting and recuperating, working on stuff in the shop and whatnot. So today is my first day back at it. Feeling okay. My shoulder's a little sore. My back's a tiny bit sore, but I'll be okay. Anyhow, I'm going to find a place to take a break right here because I'm friggin' tired. Wow, does that feel good to get a load off. So I'm packing about 25 pounds right now in the pack. And I'm hoping in the next couple weeks I can kick that up to about 35 pounds, 40 pounds. That's kind of what I'm aiming for. I can carry like up to maybe 30 in this smaller pack. And then I have to switch to the big pack, my big pack frame, to be able to pack up to 40 pounds. This little one just won't handle it. So that's how I prepare for packing 150 pound moose quarters out of the woods, is by doing that. Holy cow, am I sweating? Wow. Anyhow, we'll get there. We'll get in shape. It's pretty steep. This is a pretty steep climb up through here. It's nice once you're up on top. The visibility is really good. Small trees. It's easy to see the game up here, right? All right. I'm going to get on to some emails here. I'm going to get on to some emails. Thought I heard a squirrel. Here we go. That's a nasty little prickle bush. Here we go. Hello, Outlaw Country. My name's Leonard Ellison, and I live in central Washington State. I'm a retired firefighter, enjoying my 5th year of retirement. My experience with Sasquatch dates back 42 years ago, when I was on a day hike near Mount St. Helens. I'd left my truck about an hour before daylight and had planned on doing a 20-mile loop on a trail that I'd partially hiked the previous year. It was about 10 in the morning, and I was pretty deep into the mountain trail by that time, so I stopped to have a snack and a drink of water from the creek I was hiking along. I knelt down, had a drink of water, and stood up to find a rock I could sit on while I had my snack. As I was looking around trying to find the spot to sit, I noticed a large, hairy being standing maybe 30 feet from me in the trees looking at me. It didn't really register with me what I was looking at, so I called out hello, or I yelled out hello. Just as I spoke, this thing stepped back behind a small group of trees. Then I started hearing a noise that sounded identical to ravens when they make that clucking sound they so often make. It was almost the identical sound, but I could tell it was a large animal or creature, not a raven. I called out hello one more time, and then the creature peeked out from behind the tree and showed itself again. It made a terrible hissing sound, kind of like a soft scream at me, then vanished behind the trees. That was enough for me. I grabbed my pack, quickly walked down the creek to find a way to get back up to the trail. I found an area open enough that I could get to the trail. And as I stepped back on the trail, I looked back and saw the creature at the creek where I'd come up the bank. Well, I'll tell you, I ran and ran and ran. I literally ran until I couldn't run anymore. I've been in good shape my entire life, and I've always been a distance runner. So I knew I'd put a few miles between us. And when I couldn't run anymore, I stopped, took a short break, and then was back to a brisk walk until I was able to run again. And then I ran. As I got to the parking area, there was a ranger there putting up a posting for a dangerous bear in the area. He saw me come out of the trees. He saw me come running out of the trees from the trail and into the parking area. So he came over and asked if I was okay. I caught my breath and I told him I was okay, but that there was a creature back there on the trail a few miles. The ranger stared me down like I had 3 heads and said, "A creature? A creature? Question mark. Do you mean a bear? Were you chased by the bear?" I said, "No, sir. It was definitely not a bear. It was a Sasquatch or something like that. This thing was walking on 2 legs and looked an awful lot like a prehistoric man." I could tell that I had this guy's full attention, but not once would he admit or show any acknowledgement that it was something other than a bear. Yet he wouldn't look me in the eyes. He was taking notes, but never once looked me in the eye. He said he was putting up posters all over the area because 2 other hikers had been chased by a bear near here a week ago. I kept telling this fella that it was not a bear, but soon I realized I was wasting my time. There wasn't much information back then on Sasquatch, but I was able to find some newspaper articles on sightings in Washington State and also in Oregon and California. I saw some hand-drawn sketches of them, and it was almost exactly what I had seen. I've never seen any other sign of them since that day, but I know for a fact they used to exist and wouldn't doubt for a second that they still do. Thanks for sharing people's stories. I know I appreciate a place to share where you're not being judged. Thanks, Darren, and thanks to everyone at Outlaw Country. Leonard Ellison. Well, you're very welcome, Leonard. Thank you. Thank you for writing into us. Appreciate it. Mount St. Helens, man. There's been a lot of encounters around Mount St. Helens over the years. And, another encounter of where a park ranger, police officer, whatever, conservation officer, I've had a few emails like that in the past, and I've also heard a few read along those lines where park rangers or game wardens or whatever have been told that somebody's seen something and they won't acknowledge it. I don't know exactly why that is, but you know what? I have a good friend of mine, very, very good friend of mine, that is a conservation officer, game warden in British Columbia. And I've known him for about 20 years now. And he's become a very good friend of mine. And I'm going to ask him. I'm going to sit down and have a conversation with him, and I'm going to ask him flat out. Will he tell me? I don't know. Are they sworn to secrecy? I don't know. But I'm going to ask my friend, because I honestly believe that he will be honest with me and tell me what, maybe what he knows or what he's allowed to tell me. I don't know. We'll see. But I am going to ask him. I've been thinking about this for a long time, and I'm going to reach out. So, but anyways, Leonard, appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. I'll get a hold of you. I'm falling a little bit behind on my return phone calls and emails and whatnot, but I'll email you back, Leonard, and I'd love to have a chat with you. So hang tight. All right. Next. Hey, Darren. My name is Wendell, and I live in northern Saskatchewan, Canada. I've been a police officer for 20 years, and I've seen my fair share of shit over my career. 4 years ago, I was out on a weekend fishing trip with my wife and our 2 boys up near Cree Lake, Saskatchewan, which is close to the border of the Northwest Territories, the far reaches of northern Saskatchewan. We have a few spots up there that we love to camp at, and they offer some pretty great fishing, which the boys and I love. It was Labor Day weekend, and we had 4 days of fishing and exploring ahead of us. And the boys were pretty excited to be out in the wilderness, as was I. We are extremely remote in this area, and there's really never many other people that venture out in this area, and that's why we love it. My boys and I were on the lake fishing the first morning when I heard the air horn sound, and I knew that it was my wife, as I've told her to use the air horn in the camper to scare off bears. I heard the horn sound 3 times, which triggered my brain that this was an emergency. So we brought in our lines and headed for camp. When we got back to camp, Sue was sitting in the truck with the doors locked, and I could tell by the look on her face that she was terrified. I kept the boys close to me and went to the truck, and Sue opened the door reluctantly. And I could see she was in tears. Our boys were only 12 and 14. I didn't want them to see Sue upset, so I told them to get in the camper. But Sue said no, they need to get in the truck. The boys jumped in the back of the truck, in the back seat of the truck, and then Sue slowly got out of the driver's seat and wrapped her arms around me. I told the boys to stay there until I got back. We walked to the back of the camper, and that's when she really broke down and told me what had happened. She was inside the camper having coffee, reading her book, and making breakfast when she heard our lawn chairs get knocked over by the fire pit. She said she assumed at first that it was us back from fishing, so she opened the camper door, and right there, not more than 15 feet from the back door of the camper, stood an 8 to 9 foot tall, hairy man. The creature looked at her and turned her direction, and Sue slammed the camper door and locked it. This bloody thing circled the camper, looking in the windows and making horrible sounds. A couple of times, it shook the camper so hard, Sue said she thought it was going to flip over. It eventually walked away over towards the fire pit, stood there for a minute looking at the camper, and then headed for the trees. That's when Sue grabbed the air horn, opened the camper door, and blasted the horn 3 times to signal me to come back. Of course, I'd heard of Sasquatch before, but I can't say that I believed they were actually real. I got Sue calmed down a bit and asked her for a bunch of questions. Sorry, guys. I got Sue calmed down a bit and asked her a bunch of questions, trying to determine what she actually saw. My mind, it just wouldn't allow me to believe that it was a Sasquatch. When Sue explained it, it was pretty evident. I got Sue and the kids settled in the camper while I started packing up to head home, because Sue says she's not spending another night out here. When I went down to the lake to start packing up the boat, I heard a voice off to my right. And when I looked over my shoulder, there it was, crouched over in the bush, staring at me. It was just as Sue had explained. When it stood up, it had to be all of 8 to 9 feet tall. Very thick, very broad shoulders, massive legs, covered in thick, coarse black hair. Almost human, but not quite. As I locked eyes on it slowly, I reached for my shotgun, and this thing let out a grunt like I've never heard before. It stood up and took off and was out of sight in seconds. That was all I needed to see. I hustled to pack up the boat and all of our gear and hit the road for home. Later that night at home, I told Sue what I'd seen. And she said, "See, I told you, I wasn't making it up." She said she actually felt better that I had seen it because she was feeling pretty mixed up and confused. We still get out camping and fishing, but we've never been back to that particular lake. I've been looking into these beings since that day, trying to learn about these ancient people, if that's what they are. Listening to people's first-hand experiences from you and others on YouTube does help put the puzzle pieces together, but we've got a long ways to go. But we've got a long ways to go when it comes to the Sasquatch people. Well, thanks for your time and effort on this topic, Darren, and thanks for sharing your beautiful part of the country with us all. Keep up the great work, Wendell Hensley. Thanks, Wendell. And thanks for your service. Thanks for your service in protecting the public. Boy, oh boy. Your wife must have absolutely been terrified. I just can't even imagine. I mean, my wife spends a lot of time out in the woods with me and hiking and remote camping and whatnot. And she's been with me. Mrs. Outlaw's been with me when we've had some pretty strange occurrences, you know, knocks and hoots and hollers, but she's never laid eyes on one of these creatures. So I can't imagine how she would react. So I can't imagine what your wife went through. That's it'd be traumatic, right? So I hope Sue's doing better. You know, good to hear that you guys still get out, and I don't blame you for not going back to the area. I think if you run into an aggressive one of these beings, your best thing to do is get the hell out of there and not go back. And that's what I did in the early 90s. I ran into one that did not want me there and made that very evident. And I hightailed it back to my truck, and I never went back to that valley, ever. I hunt valleys all around that one valley, but I've never been back to that one. So I don't blame you, man. I wouldn't go back there either. Appreciate the email. Thanks very much. And I will get out to you as well. I'll reach out to you as well. I promise, Wendell. I will reach out. Just bear with me. We got time for one more, and then I gotta rock and roll here. Darren, great channel you've got here. I love the hikes you take us all on. The country you explore is so beautiful, and I'm familiar with some of the areas you talk about and have showed in your videos. One of the spots you've shown on several of your Alone series is an area that I am quite familiar with. I'm a helicopter pilot, and I fly the areas between Pemberton, British Columbia, and Lillooet, British Columbia, to the north and west, a fair bit. I got my start as a helicopter pilot in the Northwest Territories of Canada, flying for exploration companies, as well as a bit of work with hunting guides up there. I flew for a heli skiing outfit for a few years, and then back into flying mostly for exploration companies. I spent the last couple years north of Pemberton and got to see that area at different times of the year. It is truly beautiful country, just incredible. In 2020, I was flying just south of Chilko Lake, taking supplies into a remote mineral exploration camp, when I saw one of these Bigfoot creatures that, according to so many people, don't exist. I've never even thought about Bigfoot until that day in mid-October, and now it's almost all I think about. I've flown through some of the most remote, inhospitable wilderness that Canada has to offer. And yes, I've seen some pretty cool shit, from muskox to bison, moose, sheep, grizzlies. But that morning on my way into Chilko Lake was the day my life changed. I'd spotted this animal from a ways out, and I said to my co-pilot, "That's a huge bloody animal. What is that?" This thing was near the top of a ridge, roughly 6,500 feet in elevation, and it was on the dead run. This thing was moving faster than an Olympic sprinter. It was absolutely jaw-dropping. It was hard for both of us to wrap our heads around the speed in which it was moving. My co-pilot Craig was quite a bit younger than me, but he'd flown the area a fair bit, and he was speechless. I veered off course slightly to see if we could get a better look at this thing. But as we got closer, it actually picked up the pace and started moving faster, which blew our minds. As you know, the timber in that country, especially up at the higher elevations, is smaller pines, and it's fairly open. This huge, hairy creature was definitely on two legs and sprinting through the trees. But from the air, it was very easy to see. This thing was massive. As we got maybe a few 100 feet away and a couple 100 feet off the ground, this Bigfoot turned its head and looked up at us, but it never missed a stride, and maybe even accelerated a little more once it saw us. It was nearing the top of the ridge, and Craig had his phone ready for a picture. We blasted over the ridge, and I slowed down, and within a second or two of this creature cresting the top, it was gone. Completely vanished. We hovered there, looked everywhere for it, but it was gone. Craig said it must be hiding behind a tree or something. But these trees were only 6 feet tall, and they're skinny. They're small at that elevation. This thing couldn't have been hiding on us. I grabbed a bit of altitude so we could see better, and then I caught it again, probably a kilometer away, down the ridge on the dead run. How it got that far away in such a short period of time is an absolute mystery. That thing was moving. We watched it for a few seconds and then gone. We did one small circle where we last saw this thing, but that was it. We had to carry on. I've flown thousands of hours over remote country for the past 20 years now, and never seen anything like that before or since. So to all those experts out there that say Bigfoot aren't real, that they're just a myth, you're sadly mistaken, people. Craig and I know what we saw, and we still talk about it to this day. I honestly hope I never see another one again, but I'm afraid that once is all it takes for a person to be tagged by them. I've watched every video you've put out, Darren, and I've seen them in your videos, and I know there's been times that you know they are right there with you. I honestly don't know how you do it. I saw one from the air at a few 100 feet, and it scared the absolute shit out of me, and it still does to this day. I don't know how you go out there knowingly that they're around you. I'm afraid that I will see more of them at some point in my life, but I pray it's from the safety of the helicopter again. If you're ever in the central interior and want to go out for a flight, it's on me. I can show you some more beautiful country up here. Thanks again for Outlaw Country and keeping it real, man. I love your style. You're doing a great thing. Later, Sean Walker. Well, thanks, Sean. I will definitely take you up on that, man. I would love to fly some of that country in a helicopter. So yeah, Sean is correct. I spent a ton of time in the central interior, especially the Lillooet area, Lillooet north and west. I spent a ton of time up there, and I have done two of my alone trips out there in that country, and then that's where I took Mrs. Outlaw for a January winter camping trip, was out in that country as well. And I do know, I've seen a couple of times, I've seen vehicles heading out way back in the backcountry there doing mining explorations. So interesting. You never know, Sean. Maybe I have seen helicopters flying over there, all different times of the year and over the years. You never know, maybe you were in one of them. But I'll reach out to you. I'd love to sit and have a chat with you. And I do go up there every year. So Sean, if you're watching, I'm up there usually every year around November sometime. I go up for a couple of weeks, and maybe I'll give you a shout. We can meet up, and if we can't go for a flight, maybe we can at least have a coffee or a cold beer or something together. And I'd love to hear more from you. I want to hear like this whole thing about these things and the speed in which they move. That blows my mind. That really fascinates me. That an animal can move that quickly, or a being or whatever. And there's a lot of theories to that, but I want to hear a little bit more from you. And I will reach out to you as well. But wild, just wild. I saw a video, and I don't know if Steve Isdall, How to Hunt, I'm sure many of you follow Steve or have heard of Steve. Steve showed me a video last year that he was given, and I believe it was from a military pilot, and they caught this being on like heat-seeking camera. They caught this being moving up a mountain, and it was absolutely mind-blowing to me. It was that video that Steve showed me, and I don't know if he showed it to anybody yet, because the man that sent it to Steve asked him to only show it to close friends and not to make it public, so I don't know if it's been made public or not. But that video that Steve showed me is right there with the Patterson-Gimlin film as far as authenticity. It's unbelievable. It's undeniable, because the heat, the thermal, that's what it was, sorry, thermal. The thermal imaging camera that the military uses is, the best in the world. And it showed this creature clearly, and the way this thing was moving up a mountain like that through the rocks and stuff, running on two legs, was mind-blowing. It's a fairly short clip or whatever, but I hope one day that Steve can share that, because my goodness, it would blow your mind. It's incredible. You know what? You just have to take everything for what it's worth. There's going to be critics on everything. There always is. There always will be, and that's fine. I'm not asking I don't really give a shit if anybody believes any of these emails that people write into me. I don't give a shit if anybody believes any of my experiences. I really don't care. I could care less. I get people that message me, as you know, and are slamming me and slamming people that send emails in, and I just delete them because I really don't give a shit. I know what I've seen, and I know what's out there, and that, to me, that's all that matters. I'm not doing this for any other reason other than I made a promise to people that if you send an email in, I don't care what that email is. I don't care how far-fetched it may sound or whatever. If you've got a legitimate encounter and experience that you want to share with everybody, you share it. And there's places to do that. There's here, Outlaw Country. You email me, outlawcountry1896@gmail.com. You can email Steve Isdall. Share my story at howtohunt.com. Tell my story at howtohunt.com. There's Fred Roll. There's numerous people you can share with. If you don't believe it, that's fine. That's totally fine. But don't trash people. Don't discredit people or try to discredit people. All right. Many of us don't need the proof. I don't need proof. I don't need proof. I don't ever want to see one again, for sure. But that's highly unlikely. There's probably one or two of them right down here. I wouldn't doubt it for a second. Somewhere. Anyhow, enough yakking about nothing. Time to throw in the 25 pounds, and I got about 100 feet to the top of the mountain. Follow the ridge, down the other side. Get the hell out of here. Get out of Dodge. So I'm going to make her happen in here. Okay, guys. We'll maybe get a little bit of footage once we get to the top here and just show you the beautiful view from up here. All right. Boy, it's dry in the woods right now. It's so easy to see how forest fires start. Like, look at this. Bone dry. Bone dry tinder. Scary. Top of the mountain. Top of the mountain. Not much in the way of a view up here, but this is as high as you can get here. And I don't expect to actually see any game during the day like this. It's just too damn hot. And they'll all be laying down. I did see a doe with 2 fawns early this morning when I left. But of course I haven't seen anything since. Animals are too smart, man. They go hide. They go in the shade, find a nice spot to lay down, and they'll hide the rest of the day until the sun goes over the mountains. Anyhow, I have one more camera to check, and I am probably 10 minutes away from it. So I'm going to check that camera, and then I'm going to start making my way out of here. All right, guys, well, I just checked that last camera, pulled the SD card on it, threw a new one in, and I'm going to head out of here because I'm getting tired. It's been a long day. So anyways, I hope you all are doing well. I hope you're able to get out and do the things it is that you love to do, whatever that may be. Just get out and enjoy yourselves and do what you want to do for any duration of time. Life's short, right? And if you love hiking and getting out in the woods and you can't do it, you are more than welcome to come along with me, join me. I love having the guests, love having the company, and I show you as much of these hikes as I can. And as winter time comes along, there'll be a lot more. As the weather cools down, you'll see me out. I'll get out like twice a week then, maybe 3 times a week. I get out lots in the winter time, fall and winter, so there'll be a lot of videos coming your way then. But till then, come along and join me. Thanks to all of you subscribers, every single subscriber. What, we got 12,600 maybe, something like that now. Thank you so much, every single one of you. Appreciate your support so much. And a special thanks to all of the members of Outlaw Country. Really appreciate your memberships. I'm going to continue to do these giveaways for you guys and do some special things for all you members. I really do appreciate it. I've had a lot of questions on how to become a member, people trying to become a member. And all I can tell you is the membership tab to become a member. It's in the heading bar where it says videos, posts, lives. All you gotta do is go to the far right and it says memberships. And I don't know if you can do that on a phone or a tablet or if it has to be on a computer. I honestly don't know, but I know it is there. So if you're trying to become a member and you're struggling, that's the best I can offer to you. Maybe try doing it on a computer. And feel free to email me. If you're having troubles and you need something, email me. I will get to you eventually. Or, you know, throw it up in the comments and maybe somebody else can help you out with it. But thanks so much to every single member of Outlaw Country. I appreciate you guys. And Kiko Martin was our last winner of a membership winner of an Outlaw Country mug. And we'll do another one here in a couple weeks. We'll do another giveaway for you members. So anyways, guys, take care. Be safe. More important than anything, be a good person. Just be a good person. Life is too short to be a dick. Right? Be a good person. All right, I'm gonna roll. I want to show you guys this frickin' game trail going down through the... It's not super thick here, but it's thick enough. Look at this game trail. You can see it used to go that way. And then obviously this tree got uprooted and fell over. So the frickin' game went around it. Like, look at that. That's a friggin' good game trail, man. Let me tell you. I've never seen this one before. I'm coming down on the off this ridge on the west side, and I normally come down sort of a little south of here. So I've never seen this game trail before. It's wild.